Hello and welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Faith. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and whatever platform even you are watching/listening this on. We are on Twitter, Faith_Wrestling. We are on YouTube, Wrestling with Faith UK, all under one word. And we're on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Wrestling with Faith. We are also on all platforms that to do with podcasting. So anything to do that Anchor has to offer, we are on there. You name it. Spotify, Amazon, Google, iTunes, we are on there. So thank you for listening. And we've got an awesome guest, a man who is very experienced in the world of wrestling and not just the indie side of things, but also has wrestled some household names that we all know as well. So it leaves me to move on and introduce said person. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jay Alexander. Jay, the most important question I'm going to ask you during this podcast, brother, how are you?
I am never better, as I'm sure that, you're quite aware of. It's another day above ground. So one could say that I am very blessed.
Amen. Amen. I appreciate that. Do you know, you sound like a guy who was a good friend of mine who I used to work with. Every morning I'd say the same thing, and Tom would be like, you know what, dude? Every day above ground is a blessing. Amen. Do you know what I mean? So love it. Absolutely love that and can relate to that. Jay, let's kick it off, man, from the
Let's do
beginning,
it.
because there's no better place to start. You're in the wonderful world of wrestling, okay? And obviously you are sporting two pieces that you have deservedly won and deservedly drape across left and right shoulder. Let's talk about these titles, brother.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, where are they from? How did you get them? And how long have you had them?
Okay, so this I'll start with the one here on my right. It's the Laredo Wrestling Alliance Legacy Championship. I actually won this WrestleMania weekend.
Wow.
April 3rd, I believe. It was, anytime WrestleMania is in town, especially in my neck of the woods, because I'm actually originally from the DFW Metroplex, Dallas, Fort Worth, in North Texas. But right now I reside in Houston. Drove up there because I have family there and stayed there. It's always a big thing anytime WWE is in town for WrestleMania. So the full week, starting from, I think, actually, I want to say like Thursday, the week before, all the way through WrestleMania weekend, I think like even to Monday, Tuesday following. So it was like 2 weeks essentially of wrestling
Wow.
um, up in North Texas down at Cowboy Stadium, which is literally just 10, 15 minutes. If you stand in the right spot in North Texas, you can see it. It's so
Wow.
big. But 10, 15 minutes down the road, I faced Vinny Pacifico, who's been all over. He's actually who was my connect to EC3 for CYN. When CYN was starting to really ramp up and announce their tour, I was actually going to be on that tour
Wow.
for the 4 or 5 dates they had in Texas. I was going to just be all over the map every day, starting from Thursday to Sunday. Um, anyhow, won this one that weekend, so April 3rd of 2021. So, oh, gosh, well over. No, I'm sorry, not 21, 2022. I apologize because it was just this year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm horrible with dates. So WrestleMania 2022.
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
I'll
Just
help you
this
out
year.
there, mate. Last year,
Yeah.
hardly anything happened. This year, we're back on track.
There's so oh my gosh, being in wrestling, like you just it's your mind is so 2022. I apologize.
That's all.
So been since April 3rd, that weekend, Vinny Pacifico. I am the inaugural LWA champion. They retired the original heavyweight belt with Daga, Tessa Blanchard's husband.
Yeah.
So they created all new belt and they said, hey, we need someone who can really showcase and establish what legacy truly means. And so that's kind of been like the punchline when I cut the promos or, when I embody the championship. Because typically I'm a bad guy, right? So typically bad guys like lose a lot, right? Like you hype up the crowd, you get all the anger, the heat towards you, and then you lose, right? Which is what everyone wants to see. But when you're just that good, you win. So took this title against Vinny Pacifico. I've had like 3 or 4 title defenses. They run bi-monthly. I want to say I faced Alex Arsenal, who's a well-known Texas talent, very athletic, very gifted, very challenging back and forth. And then I've actually defended it against former WWE superstar Rodney Mack. And that was semi-recently, actually, Proving Grounds. I can't remember the exact date on that one, but ended up catching him. He went for a sunset flip, caught the leg, 1, 2, 3, powdered out. Still your champ. So to get one over with experience on a guy like Rodney Mack is it's a humbling experience, and it's a rub to me as the young cat, because I've only been doing this collectively for 3 years.
Wow.
So touring and traveling and performing too, which is, I guess, from a wrestling sense, I'm still a baby. I'm told by all the vets, but I have somewhat of and I've been very fortunate and blessed to have somewhat of a higher hierarchical position in locker rooms. So super grateful and thankful for that. Without talking your off too much, this one right here, actually, I just won this. What was it? September 24th.
Wow. So like barely 3 weeks then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There was a guy, actually. He's all of 6'7", 300 some odd plus. One of the biggest and best competitors in Texas. One of the best kept secrets. The Pinnacle of War, Apex. Super talented guy, massive human being. One of the best workers in the business. He's super great, super safe, which is contrary to how you see him perform, because he's crazy and he beats the holy heck out of you. So we actually had gone back and forth for about over a year. Palais Pro, we were both bad guys, and he essentially left me for dead after I was talking too much mess to him, and so he choke slammed me and left me for the dogs, and the other three hit me with a shield power bomb. Never doing that again. You want to talk about pain? That hurt so bad. I was just thankful. I just laid there on the mat for a minute. I'm like, thank God I get to sell this, because the way I'd be able to get back up. Fast forward to IWE, Independent Wrestling Expo, and we had a one-on-one for, I guess, they're crowning their champion in this qualifier. So, or they're crowning their champion later, so they had this qualifying match. And me and him had this, and that's actually on my page for the view as well. And I highly recommend anybody that wants to see just a good old fashioned, just slobber knocker, go visit that one.
Right.
Yeah, Apex versus Jay Alexander, IWE Championship qualifier.
Just get that bookmarked.
Yeah, that one's a good one. And we went back and forth. I have him beat. I come in, he gets me with a kick, scoops me up for a last ride power bomb, sets me down 1, 2, 3. At 3, I kick out, but at that point the 3 had already been counted, so he technically got over on that match. I was so peeved about it that I said, you know what? I'll see you again. I came to his neck of the woods and I said, Apex, I want you, and I'm so confident I'm going to beat you. This is going to be a title match. Not only is it going to be a title match, but I am so confident that I'm going to walk out with your belt that I'm going to wager mine. So, title for title, winner take all, right? We
Right.
beat the holy hell out of each other there too, to a no contest. Fast forward, we redo the match because we have to have a winner, right? Someone's got to win this blood rivalry. And again, I say, you know what? They do a last man standing match. So I say, you know what? I've had it. Someone's going to walk out the winner. I'm putting my belt on the line again. So I'm telling you, I'm going to beat you. Because even in this no contest, we both were left standing.
Right.
The locker room emptied and had to hold us apart. It was a big thing, big
Big
ordeal.
deal. Yeah.
Crowd was going crazy. Let them fight. Let them fight.
Mate,
And
when you've got that reaction from the crowd, mate, put in your hands.
and
It's game on. That's 50% of it done, isn't it? Surely, if the crowd's on side.
that's 90% of it. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And we talk about coming from reality wrestling and Booker, like that's what it is. You could do all the craziest, coolest moves in the world, but if you're doing it to crickets, what's the point? So
Yeah.
you'd rather get like just a Book would say, you know what, he showed us a match of him versus Bobby Lashley. He took one bump, right? And he did one spinning axe kick, but the crowd was eating it up. And he's like,
Yeah.
the crowd can eat it up and you can spare yourself the punishment, and like that stuff adds up. All the bumps, all the
Massively, man. Especially if you've got X amount of dates as well,
bingo.
and you're already booked in advance, man. You got to try and be as fresh as you can. Yeah.
Bingo. And so that was the point of that. So we let them fight. We said, let's bring it back. and we'll do something special. Last Man Standing. They did their podcast. They have the Squared Circle radio show, and the GM came on and said, I don't care if they're both out at the count of 10. I will walk my happy self out there. I will pick them both up, set them in the corner. We will restart the match. He's like, someone is walking out anew and still. And I said, let's do it. And so it took. He's a big dude and he's a beast. Took about 4 different moves in the final moments of the match. Finally, at that 10 count, he was not up. So and new APW heavyweight champion. Not only did I get my comeuppance, but I got his belt too and retained mine. At the expense of this plate, actually, I did kind of a concerto curb stomp.
Oh wow!
And ended up breaking the plate off. So you know, the promoter has the other plate, and we're gonna get it screwed back on this weekend. Actually, I'm set to defend this championship in my first defense against the Midnight Rider Marquise Jackson, who likes to run his mouth. So I can't wait to smack the taste out of it when I see him.
Man, that is epic. I mean, fully deserved as well. I mean, looking at that as well, the with the obviously winning the belt from Apex, you know, there's some serious heat developed there. There's some investment in that storyline as well. It's not just a case of challenger rocks up, takes belt, cracks on. You know, you've got to have the crowd loving it, feeling it, and being involved and being immersed in it. And that's where some of the better storylines come from. Yeah, and that's where the better matches come from.
Bingo.
And like you say as well, you alluded to it when Buck versus Bobby Lashley, and there wasn't a mega amount of signatures, near falls, finishing moves done. But if you've got that heat there that the crowd are just warming off, man, it sold itself, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
But no, you're 100% correct. And ultimately, that's kind of like the cheat code, because wrestling, professional wrestling is this bubble. Excuse me, and you enter this bubble, but there's sub bubbles of just so many like different things, and a lot of pro wrestling, especially on the independent circuit, is so you have a trainer or a coach who maybe they've been involved in the business to some degree or some aspect. You know, they have maybe very minimal, you know, understanding or knowledge, you know, and then, or you have someone who's, you know, very knowledgeable, who's been a very prominent success story on the independents. Maybe they were just shy of an eight, you know, of a WWE, you know, New Japan Pro, Ring of Honor, Impact, what have you.
Yeah.
And they're out there, you know, coaching or training. And I mean, some of them it's so simple as like, oh, here's a roll, here's how you take a bump, here's how you do this move. Now go out there and don't hurt anybody. It's like, you know, that
wow.
That's how it is for certain places and certain trainers and coaches. And man, your education, I mean, if you're, you know, and it's true for life. Like if you're trying to be a lawyer, right? And you have somebody from, you know, Dark College U in the middle of nowhere that you've never heard, or you have someone from Yale. Well, shoot, that Yale is going to look real good on that resume, don't you say?
Yeah.
It's very similar. You know, we're going for this booking, and you have somebody from such and such's backyard wrestling academy, you know, or you have Jay Alexander trained by 2-time Hall of Famer, you know, Booker T out of Reality of Wrestling.
Yeah,
that's going to be Dirt U versus, you know, Harvard or Yale all day. You know?
Yeah. It's night and day, isn't it, man? It's absolutely night and day.
And there's you know, you tell these guys, you know, what's the first step in becoming a professional wrestler? Is find a good and reputable school, right? It's not just so you can learn how to do things right, but it's also what you can put on the resume, right? Because you want to know everything you're supposed to do, but you also want that for in reality wrestling's but for reality but wrestling, it's you're not just trained on pro wrestling, but you're trained on TV, right? TV style
Absolutely,
wrestling.
Yeah. And there's got to be some performing art aspect to it, hasn't there? You know, you can be the greatest athlete in the world, but if you, for want of a better phrase, suck on the mic, and if you can't get any heat or any love from the crowd, And like you alluded to earlier, if you're playing to
Mhm.
crickets, man, you
And
could do all the shooting star presses, all the choke
bingo.
slams, the table bumps, and all
Yep.
everything. But
Yep.
if you aren't getting any traction from the people who are paying the money to come in, what's the
Exactly.
point? What's the point?
Exactly. And that's Book's point is live. He'll say this. It's live theater, right? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
he's so animated. It's Shakespeare. It's Macbeth. He says that. You know, he'll say
yeah,
like, you know, that's why you can go back and look at any Booker T match, and he's huge on this. Is when he hits something right, and if he hits it this way, right, and he gets the kick off right here, gets the kick,
yeah,
and say you're the hard cam, right, where all the millions are watching at home,
yeah,
he
yeah,
gets the kick, and he'll go here with the hands. You know, he's dancing around, and then it's always.
yeah. Straight back. Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because you have the thousands and thousands there, or in our case, you know, at the arena, hundreds and hundreds, but
yeah.
then you have the hundreds of thousands at home, or in his case, you have the millions at home. So,
Of
you know,
course.
they'll see this and be like, oh, that's awesome. But there's something more, there's something to be said when he comes back and he's,
And he knows exactly
you
where
know what
the
I'm
hard
saying? And
cam
he gets
is.
seen, you're like, oh my God, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code.
It is because, like you just said there, that example is not only are you buying in the people in the arena in a situation like that,
Mm-hmm,
what Buck did really,
mm-hmm,
really well,
mm-hmm,
supremely good athlete, but supremely animated as
mm-hmm,
well. But when you do that and you find the cam spot as well,
mm-hmm,
you sucker in Joe
mm-hmm,
Blogs, me, on the
mm-hmm,
couch
mm-hmm,
watching in as well. And you almost feel not to be cheesy or corny,
mm-hmm.
but you're part of it. You're in that
Yeah,
spot. You're in that
yeah.
moment. And to do that, man, it ain't easy. Not everybody
Mm.
can do it, can they? I mean, you know, you've crossed paths with how many people?
Yeah, you know, you have so many people, man, like on the couch. This is why I love social media, particularly Twitter. Twitter's the least, the one, the the platform that I use the absolute least. Which is funny because if you ask anybody, particularly my girlfriend, I'm a master wordsmith. You know, I can cut a promo like no one's business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things come to me left and right, up and down, like nothing. But Twitter, oh man, I struggle so much to even remotely say anything. Um, I'm super opinionated. I'm super stubborn. I'll keep it at that to say the least. And there's so many people, man, marks as we call them,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
just having an opinion's fine and all, in all
Mm.
well and dandy. I know when I disclose how I feel about certain things, anything, I'm quick to say, you know, in my opinion, or I just feel like, because
Yeah, yeah.
it doesn't justify, like, and look, if someone wants to get hot at me, it's like, look, I just said that's how I feel. I just said that's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
opinion. I never
Yeah, yeah.
once said that's the word is binding. You know, that's what it
Absolutely,
is.
yeah.
But
You're
you have
not
so
wrong, you're
many.
not right. It's an
Exactly.
opinion.
That's just how I feel. And
Yeah.
I'll say I could be wrong, but and so on. But you have so many people, man, online that just, oh my, they're just ferocious, and they swear like, and when it comes to like these marks, they're like, oh, this booking, da 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 da, Tony Khan, and Vince, and Triple H, and I could have booked, I could have done this, and you know what, like get me in the ring and let me do it. And I'm like, man, so first off, I welcome anybody for 5 minutes. Give me five. We'll start the timer. I'll start a
Yeah.
timer. Give me 5 minutes with you in a ring. We can shoot. We can work. I'll put you through some drills, some cardio. You won't last 5 minutes in any
Mm.
aspect. Work,
Nailed
shoot,
on.
cardio, nothing. Pro wrestling from an athletic standpoint, like, you know, I can say this because I was very gifted. I played sports my entire life. You know, I did NPC bodybuilding. I did, professional bodybuilding. I'm sorry, not professional professional indoor football. Sorry,
Yeah.
amateur bodybuilding and professional football, on the indoor at the indoor level, still at a pro level, but um, athletically, you know, there's always challenges and and such for each thing you do. Professional wrestling from an athletic standpoint came easy to me, right? The intricacies, certain ways to roll and feed into certain things so that you can take and or deliver things safely. That was, there's a learning curve there, but the overall athleticism of it just was back of my hand. But when you really want to take, and this is where independent, so they could have easily, reality wrestling could have easily said, "Oh, this guy knows everything. Throw him out. He's independent wrestling. He'll be a star." True, right? But where reality wrestling said, "No, let's take it down. Let's take our time, right? Slow it down." Which, if I had a penny for every time I heard the words "slow it down," um, I'd be a millionaire. Slow it down. It's the little things. Another thing, saying that I've heard a million times by book, that if I had a penny for, I could be a millionaire. Because there's so many athletes in this world, and as you see it on AEW, you can throw anybody out there. I mean, they can have a ridiculous athletic bout.
Yeah.
But what is the difference between the fans of AEW and the fans of like WWE, right? Will Ospreay just had a mind-blowing banger,
Oh man,
right?
absolutely.
From
Doing
an
the
athletic standpoint,
representing the UK massively. Yeah,
but
from an athletic standpoint.
you think, okay, that was awesome to watch, but like, what was the point? You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, and you're like, what was? And you certain people, what's the point? Oh my god,
I'd
they,
agree with you on
heads
that,
pop,
man. There needs to
our
be a
heads pop.
follow up to that. Yeah,
But you go
yeah,
to so you'll watch WWE, right? And you'll have a fraction of those moves,
yeah,
right? But you're like, that was one of the best matches I've ever seen, because there was a backstory, there was a
yeah,
story there.
yeah,
One of the best matches I've seen in a while, right? That I was like, I couldn't look away, was the Judgment Day, or Finn Balor versus Edge at Extreme Rules.
yeah, man. Oh,
Start to
the
finish,
Extreme Rules. Yeah, I just watched that the
from
other day. Yeah,
from start to finish, that match just story. That was a mini. That was just a mini story,
yeah, it
right?
was.
Not even just a story, but it was a mini story. It had been invested in and booked into, and taken time to create and craft and manipulate and work, and it's still not over. It's still not over. And
No.
you see this anyway, just stuff like that. And that's what the difference is between, like, oh, this kid knows how to do crazy cool things, cool, throw him to the wolves, like let him create a name for himself, and like, hey, you have what it takes. Let's polish and sharpen um certain aspects, and really, like, really make, because
Yeah.
any mid carder can do anything cool, right? But your main eventers, your superstars, they have their handful of things. You ever seen Roman Reigns do anything more than 5 moves?
No.
Brock Lesnar, even you
I'd
could try to
even say
punch people
Randy
down.
Orton as well, to be honest. I think Randy Orton's quite predictable in his
Randy
moves.
Orton,
Yeah.
is, and you ask anyone, Randy Orton's one of the greatest of all time. Any of those in that locker room,
But the people who worked with him have got so many positive things to say about that guy, haven't they? So
exactly.
many positive things.
Exactly. And you do what you do, right? Which is your staple, your core, but it's
Mm,
it's it's in the grand scheme of it very minimal, but the point of your job is to tell a story.
100%.
You're watching a movie. You want them to be watching a movie. So that's the difference in coming up anywhere in Joe Schmoville, and coming up at a studio, right? Like reality wrestling. They've even said, this is not, a school. This is a institution. This is a studio. Like,
Yeah.
this is TV, and
Yeah,
they've called it,
absolutely.
they've
Yeah.
called it WWE. There's a reason that Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio, like, all these guys have gone through, like the Usos, Athena or Ember Moon, you
Mm,
know, uh, the Noi. I mean, typically the Noi family has come through. Like, there's so many just groundbreaking stars that have come through reality wrestling, and hone their craft, and guys that, like, are, super gifted, like I said, a Bobby Lashley or a Shelton Benjamin, and
yeah.
then
Yeah.
they get something. It's a cheat code. It's unfair. It is, but I'm super fortunate, super blessed to have that opportunity.
Yeah. Awesome, man. And like, obviously, at the back of that as well, I mean, you know, you're at reality, you've got Booker T as a mentor, as a coach.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's a massive leg up in itself in terms of your resume.
Hmm.
What's Booker like on a one-on-one though, man? Does he
Booker
make
is
you work?
Booker is no different. Booker is exactly who you see him to be.
That's brilliant, man. So he's the guy
There's
we see on
no
TV, yeah?
bingo. There's no um he's obviously, he's one of the boys.
Yeah.
Drops a few expletives here and there, more so than he does on
Nah, I'm not
TV.
having
But
that.
but he'll let you know you do something. Damn, that was good, like, or whatever,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what, for me, I'll do great things, and it's like there's one little hiccup, or just one minuscule, just like microsecond, which to fans, they don't notice that microsecond, but to a worker, they're like,
Yeah.
if that was something there, if this was that, or something was there, they know exactly what they're looking at. So book that'll be something where, like, we're in training or whatever, and something happens or whatever, and Book's like, I see Jay, the salute things, Jay. Like, and yeah, oh man, I don't know how many times I've heard that.
But I
You're
think as a
still
wrestling fan,
you're a
though, like
star, you're a star everywhere and in every other capacity, but
just little things like to work on. And I think as a fan, though, as a genuine wrestling fan, and as somebody who's brought up, I mean, I'm talking Hogan era. Okay, that's my entrance into it, was Hogan era. And listen, I don't mean to diss Hogan in any way, shape, or form, but I suppose as you go through as a wrestling fan, you would say that Hulk Hogan moves wise, again, we're going back to a limited guy, but the pulling power, I mean,
bingo,
crowd, palm, hand, night after night.
he
I'm
was
not even
exactly what
breaking
they
a sweat,
needed.
man. Do you
Yep.
know what I mean? So that again is another great example of this guy ain't going to be doing, 450 off the
Nope.
top rope.
Well,
But this guy has got what people buy into.
well, and it also, it's a testament to as well, like to generationals,
Massively.
like you take like Joe Montana, right? I'm a huge football buff as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Roger
yeah.
Staubach, and you put them in in the quarterback role now. The defenses in the game is so fast. I don't know if they would, and the defenders are way bigger. The O linemen are massive, like ginormous human beings. Do they still have the same stats? You never know. But take Tom Brady, take Peyton Manning, take Aaron Rodgers, take all
The
these guys,
conditioning's so much
and
different, isn't it? The discipline's so much different.
put them back in those the '85 Chicago Bears.
Yeah, yeah.
Those, you could rip a quarterback's head off and it be easy.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
do these guys, I'm a huge New England, Patriot fan. My family's all from Massachusetts. So I
Right.
was there every single year, right? Before I even liked football, I was getting the Patriots shoved down my throat. We're watching this game. All right. Didn't care about football, but here I am,
Yeah,
grew
yeah.
to actually love it because I played soccer my whole life and I was way too physical for soccer. I didn't do the whole,
Yeah.
get off me, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
went to a sport that I could say get off me and get praised for. So that was
Yeah.
football. Played strong side linebacker. From then on, it was a beautiful marriage. And um it just was it's just a different I came up even in the time where it's like keep your head on a swivel. If I got ear hold, it wasn't a 15-yard penalty, it wasn't, hit on a defenseless run, I was like, man, I got up and my head's ringing and my body
Quite a,
hurts and I'm like,
quite a
God
few
damn
guys, though, from the American football side of things ended up going into wrestling. I mean, we'll go back to the generationals. I spoke a few months back to Nikita Koloff as well.
it.
And Nikita comes from that background. Never once, he said, during my college years, did I ever entertain the idea of going into wrestling. But he had friends who transitioned, like Rick Rude, Ravishing Rick, Kurt Hennig as well, who had all played college football, the guys from Demolition as well. And they were like, dude, you've got to get into this pro wrestling gig. Do you know what I mean? And these were all guys who grew up playing, obviously watching NFL and being obviously college football, potentially getting scholarships and moving on to bigger and better things in that field. But it's amazing, isn't it? How like a lot of these guys, like Goldberg as well, is another example, and the Moose as well, in Impact Wrestling. There were a lot of guys that literally hone their craft, don't they, from a sort of school college sort of setting, and transition, don't they, into the wonderful world of wrestling.
But it's to bring it back to kind of your initial point is it's the time frame. You can't take these guys and take them and put them in different time frames.
100%.
Back in the day, Hulk slamming Andre was. Did we just see that?
It's the
That was
greatest thing ever at that time.
But now you see Will Ospreay do a whole friggin' match in the first minute and a half of just cardio, and you're like, it's just that you take Will Ospreay, and put him back in WWF days, and people's brains are going to explode. They can't handle
he'd
what they're
get
seeing.
hurt. He
You
would
take
get
Hulk
hurt.
Hogan now. If Hulk Hogan debuted now, doing what he's doing, you're like, this guy is vanilla plain.
Yeah, man.
Generic as all hell. Like, where are we gonna? How are we gonna follow this guy?
How do we market this guy? Yeah,
it's
massively,
night and
man.
day from just
Different
kind of
era, like you say. There's a lot more. I would imagine, like, certainly looking at it from a fan's point of view, safety aspect now than maybe what there
yeah.
wasn't in the late 80s, 90s. You know, and that's something that we as wrestling fans, pure wrestling fans,
Hmm.
who can sit back and take a breath before we go all IWC, can obviously appreciate. Moving on to a slightly different topic, but in the grand scheme of this podcast, wrestling with faith, it has so many connotations that people do wrestle with their faith, and also wrestling with faith, with Holy Spirit every time you go through the curtain. We touched upon off air that you do have faith, and you know, how does that help you in the world of wrestling?
Man, so there definitely is a, I'm not gonna word this. Um, as we've spoke about, it's this is wrestling is scripted, definitely not fake. It's very real. You feel everything. Things do happen, injuries do occur, and so just even saying a quick prayer of just essentially keeping me and my opponent safe. Obviously doing so in an entertaining manner as well, giving the crowd exactly everything that they want, and because they're paying their hard-earned money for it, let's bless them with it, with their money's worth, right?
Amen.
um and honestly, even thanking the good Lord for the opportunity, and even the health and wellness and the gifts bestowed upon us to even be able to do so in the first place.
Amen.
um just along the lines of that, and it's, quick, and music hits and we go through the curtain. So it would help. It's security. You know there's a certain level of security when you know that you're not alone. You're not walking alone. You know
Yeah, man. In every
no one else.
aspect of life, not just when you step in the squared circle, right?
Exactly it. So you go to walk through that curtain, and you bust out, and here comes this larger than life, individual, but like, he's right there beside you, he's right there behind you, he's right there
Yeah,
above you,
man.
and then you take a bad bump, or you get thrown or something, and you go to fall, and I'm a visual person. You're going right towards your shoulder, but his hand slips right underneath there, and it's almost like laying on a pillow, and you curl right off.
Yeah, yeah,
You think your shoulder's going to burst into a million pieces because that mat is hard, it's wood.
yeah.
You take that landing and you roll up, and you're like, okay, and you keep going, so that's how I view it. That's how it helps me.
That's awesome, man. And I would imagine like prayer for healing as well, prayer for your
Of course.
opponent,
Yep.
as well as like man, I love that aspect that you said about praying for the people buying the tickets as well,
Hmm.
man. That's massive because, it's no secret. We are in a time of global economic crisis.
Exactly.
Some people might think it's a bit of a stretch to say that, but
Hmm.
I mean, at the moment, man, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I've had a friend of mine do a running challenge recently, and I'm just doing one now where I'm doing 50K in 5 days. So a premier athlete like
Uh,
you, that would be, yeah, probably a warm up, but 50K in
I
five
don't know
days
about
just for like
that.
for food banks
Yeah.
where I live as well, and I would imagine like food banks obviously are a big thing in the States,
Hmm.
um, and people associate with food banks with vulnerable people or people who don't
Hmm.
work or find it hard to get employment. Man, it's the complete opposite. We're finding people who are full-time employed that are relying, not choosing, but
Yeah.
relying on food banks
Yep.
because of the economic crisis.
Yep.
So for you to say, bless the hand of the people who are handing
Hmm.
over God's money for the ticket
Hmm.
to go be entertained by wrestling,
Yep.
it's great, man. And you men and women and the promoters and all the staff involved in that, it's like cinema for those
Hmm.
2 to 3 hours,
Yep.
like reading a great graphic novel as well. You and I are self-confessed nerds and geeks, man. So we know our pop culture. We know
Hmm.
what takes our mind away off things. And you guys were a part of that, Jay, and that's
Hmm.
huge, man. And I mean, as well as it being a big responsibility, it's a huge blessing to
Hmm.
people as well, man. And it's so you guys, like helping guys like me out, just like by keeping us entertained and taking our mind off,
Hmm.
sometimes
I
dreaded
had a,
reality. You know what I
I
mean?
had
So,
you get told it, oh, thank you, and there's, you see social media posts about, so people's favorite wrestlers and stuff. A really cool moment for me, again, kind of similar to you, like not, not toot my own horn here, but I had one of my buddies. This guy, I say buddy, he's this guy at one of the promotions that I go to down in Bryan College Station. Um, Real quick, because I know time
That's
wise.
okay, man. Yeah.
Um, he he's a huge fan, and I think he drove. So he's originally. Oh man, I can't remember where he's from originally, but he's a good like handful of hours away. But he makes this drive to come see the promotion because it's his favorite promotion, and lo and behold, I'm one of his favorite performers, if not
Get
his
in.
favorite performer. Which that's cool in and of itself. That you could have told me that, and that's like, oh, that's crazy, man. Thank you so much, for the support. It's second to none. He actually had a buddy who had this very traumatic, some sort of pulmonary embolism. Oh man, it was this horrible thing. And anyway, he ended up, I guess, having like beginning from the back of his ear all the way down, I think, to his neck, of like cut open and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
on. I don't know the full extent. I don't want to, I'm not going to speak on it being correct, but he had this. He should have died. Let's put it this way. He should
Yeah,
have
yeah,
died.
yeah.
And because of it, it left him, I want to say, like paralyzed, or he's very stiff on one side. So he walks with a cane. He's not an older fellow, but he's not quite young.
Yeah.
He's walking kind of sturdily on this cane. And he's been a huge wrestling fan pretty much his entire life. Has been laid up, hasn't been able, because especially with COVID and everything
Of
recently,
course. Yeah, man.
all
You
of
got
the
to be
craziness
careful.
in the world, and all these illnesses and diseases that are just kind of coming out the woodwork. He was trying to like make sure he maneuvered safely because he was more prone to these illnesses
Absolutely.
with this with the surgeries and stuff that he had. And so he finally brought himself to leave the house after, I think, like, oh man, I think he was like under extensive care up for like I want to say like a 2-year period or something. It was very
Wow.
extensive, like where he was under, like care of like nurses and people taking care of him and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
A very crucial time in his life. He comes out to Lions Pride, and he comes beeline straight to me. And I see him, coming up, and him and his buddy, that I recognize his buddy, and he was saying, "Hey man, this is my friend." And he kind of gave me a backstory. He's like, "I don't want you feeling sorry for me." This man made this like 4 or 6 hour trip to pick up this guy, and then made another 4 or 6 hour trip, whatever, to come to the show, right? Just so this guy, this man could see the show, because he's been a dire. It was, this whole circumstance was just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I'm a bad guy, so I'm like trying to keep this kayfabe of like, man, out of here with this sob story and stuff like that. But it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it, I have a heart, and and being, I struggle with my faith on a daily basis. I'll admit that, fair and square. I'm human, but you cannot. There's been too many circumstances in my life that have proven that, more so than not, that there is a higher power, that there is a God.
Amen.
Um, on multiple chords, I will fight you tooth and nail about that. Don't sit there in front of my face and try and disprove God to me, because
Yeah, yeah. You
I've
can't scientifically prove it, but you can't scientifically unprove it as well. Do you know what I mean, man?
I broke, and I was trying so hard to hold the tears back, and I just asked this man. I was like, can I hug you? I'll give
Wow.
you.
Get in.
And that's something that, like, it's from a performer standpoint, you're like, and you're like, damn it, like, I don't want people to see that, because like, then, oh, Jay's supposed to be this big tough bad guy, and he's over here hugging this. But you know what? In that circumstance, like, God bless you. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
incredible,
But man, that's a
sweet.
Holy Spirit moment there, because
And
when God speaks, when God asks a question, yeah, we've got to answer.
and
Yeah.
it
And
was
you don't
such a
answer
cool
always
moment.
with words, man. It's with actions. It
Yeah.
says in the word as well, you put your hand to the plow, God will bless those who put their hand to the
Hmm.
plow. You were asked to do a job by God at that point, mate.
Hmm.
And you delivered. Mission accomplished. Do you know
And
what
it
I mean?
was one of the coolest moments in not just my life, my career, because
Yeah, man.
that's what we do it for. We, like you said, we do it for the people that maybe only have $20. They
Yeah.
buy a $10 adult ticket and a $5 kid, child ticket to come see the
Yeah,
inside.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
maybe they have $5, that last $5 they have to make work, but their kid's hungry and they get them a hot dog and a soda,
Nailed on.
from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
concession stand. So now, he's gonna have to figure it out. But that's what you initially do it for. But then when you have someone that, on the other side, who, you know, this is maybe something that saved their life. They were going through depression, or maybe they had
Yeah,
this
yeah.
surgery done, and they just needed to get out of the house, or were losing their mind. And then, they come and they see a great show, which is completely indicative of just everybody that performed that night, not just, myself. To be a piece of that is awesome and a blessing. But then to be pointed out solely and say, man, everyone else here is a great talent, but you are so special. It's like, I'm special. It's like,
Yeah, man.
you're special. Like that. I put on some boots and kick someone's butt. You know what I mean? You fought this 2-year battle for your life,
Yeah.
and instead of like giving up and just saying, man, I'm tired, like I'm over this,
Mm,
you said, I want to go out there and I want to live it. I want to make the best of this opportunity and live my life. And so uh that's that's experiences, man. Like, all time will go on. All these material things have
yeah,
a
yeah.
worth, and then they'll fade, they'll break, or maybe I'll sell them off and get lots of money. But at the end of the day, when it's your time, and whether you choose to be cremated or whether you're put in the dirt, you don't take anything with you except
Absolutely, man.
except for the legacy that you
And
left
we're
on
all
earth.
going somewhere as well after this mortal coil has
Exactly.
been an expired, man. Once the
Exactly.
battery's gone, we're going somewhere. And I'd rather be in a place where people go, do you know what? You don't know me, but when you
Mhm.
donated or when you said or that time when you
Yes.
hugged me at the wrestling show, you've probably forgotten, but that to me just
Yeah.
it changed the course of my life and it made me a better person.
Bingo.
It's all about planting seeds, yeah. So
Hmm.
when you plant seeds, man, you don't the seeds don't grow straight away. Seed time and harvest, and
Takes time.
those
Yeah.
little things that we do in
Hmm.
life can be. We could turn our backs and go, "I've done that. I'm moving on to the next thing now."
Yep.
That could be a harvest for somebody else. That man, for
One
go,
hundred percent.
go. Do you know what? That time when Jay did that, he probably didn't even remember. But to me, yeah, man, it was a game changer. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's awesome.
100%.
Mate, that's a really, really good touching story, that man. It's going to be a blessing to people watching this as well and listening to it.
I hope so.
We are almost out of time. Now, I've got me and you could wax lyrical all day long, and
No, we could.
we're gonna catch up in the new year. Let's make that happen. Um,
Absolutely.
what I want to do is before I stop the recording of this, I do this to every wrestler, mate, and I make no apologies for doing it. I'm going to hit you with a question now. So, congratulations, Jay Alexander. You are now the captain of a Survivor Series team. Your
Oh,
only,
yes.
your only drawback is you're going against my team. It's not your fault, it's just the way that the card was drawn, man.
It is what it
So,
is.
my team, okay, I'm not going to reveal my hand. I've already got my 4 other competitors who are going to back me up in the ring. Now, as
Okay.
the captain, you've got to choose 4 others from any promotion who have gone to be with the Lord, who are still with us, who are retired, male or female. Who are the 4 people you've got that you think can deliver that Survivor Series victory?
From any promotion here or not. Okay. So
Any, yeah, yeah.
I'll give you size, strength, athleticism, and incarnate. I'm going Wardlow
Wow.
and Brian Cage right off the
Okay.
top.
Yeah, yeah.
So my only question is, Survivor Series is 5. I'm one of them, right?
That's correct.
So
Yep.
that's 3 right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I get 2 more. Give me. Ooh, uh, oh man, those are athletic talents. Give me. It's 3. God, I thought I had this in the bag. I mean, I've got like so many counters in my head now. Um, so it's current superstars or like
Any man, any, whether
so
they're no longer with us, whether they're retired
so
from
I
any
have
promotion.
variations though. That's why I'm asking. So like if you're talking like give me and I get heat for this all the time, but I don't care. I think as a performer, he's one of the greatest performers of all time. Now as a person, he's gonna pay his price. Chris Benoit. I was a huge Chris
Yes.
Benoit fan
I saw
and
Chris Benoit actually when he came to the UK as well.
never saw him live, but
Yeah, man.
that what that's one of
Phenomenal talent. Just
that's
an
where it's
out
like
and out wrestling talent, man. Yeah, let's just call it
I
how it
love
is.
Chris Benoit. As a person, he's serving he's
Yeah,
serving
yeah.
his purpose.
But but on wrestling
That's
terms, man, I mean, I've said it before today. I put him in my Survivor Series teams before today.
okay.
I make
Cool.
no
So
apologies for that, man. No
we'll do
apologies
that.
whatsoever. You've got
So that
one
leaves
more now, man. You've got the
one more.
last one.
You know what? Let me give you a guy who I've already given you one guy that I emulate a lot of my stuff from. I'll give you another one. Alexander Hammerstone.
Oh, MLW.
I take a lot of
Wow.
a sleeper pick. Say one of your guys jumps my guys in the back, right?
Yeah,
My
yeah.
supplemental pick is going to be Davey Richards. Speaking of
Right.
MLW.
Okay, mate. Do you know that's great? I don't think we've ever had anybody pick somebody from MLW. Right. Okay, then. So let's do it then. So if you're going to go Hammersmith, okay, then I'm going to go Kruger on that one. Okay. I think
Okay.
we've got a good foil there. In terms of your powerhouses, you picked BC. You've also picked Wardlow as well. So I'm going to have to go old school with powerhouses. I'm going to pick in prime Kane. And I'm also going to pick, in terms of the powerhouses, who do I go? Who's got the muscle? Who's got the skill to be able to take on that? Do you know what? I'm going to go old school, man. I'm going to go Lex Luger on
Okay.
that one as well. Okay.
Okay.
Now you got your Chris Benoit. Okay. So we need somebody technical, somebody who knows how to take a bump, somebody who knows what it's like to get hurt, somebody who knows how to just find that way to come back and win. So I'm just going to go, no apologies for it, Bret the Hitman Hart. That's who
Okay.
I've got for your foil for Benoit. So I've
Okay.
got Kruger, I've got Lex, I went Kane, and I've also got Hitman Hart as well. So there's my foil for it. And you know what? I don't know
It's
who
a well
wins,
balanced.
mate, but
That,
I'm buying a ticket to that. Do you know
I'm
what
about
I
to
mean?
say, I'm confident with I'm gonna be a little biased here. I'm confident with Cage, Wardlow, their athletic, and even truth be told, Benoit's a pretty strong son of a gun.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think with Cage and Wardlow alone, I think their power and their athleticism, I think is to me the X factor. And I think for me personally, Hammerstone, I take a lot of, sue me, but I take a lot of stuff from Hammerstone. A lot of the moves and stuff he does and try and play with it and make it my own.
It's
But
amazing athlete.
Cage and Wardlow to me, especially out there, I knew they were strong. I knew Cage was a freaking nature athlete.
Yeah.
But I saw their contest on AEW, I was like,
Dude, I tell you what you want to check out if you've not seen it. You probably have. I'm teaching to suck eggs here. But there's YouTube footage of Sammy Callahan versus Keith Lee versus Brian Cage.
okay,
It is the most insane powerhouse, fatal three-way. It is the moves that
he's a
these
good one.
guys do, man, and they emulate each other's moves as well,
Hmm.
and they absolutely nail it. Honestly, Callahan versus Keith Lee versus
I'll
Brian
check that
Cage,
out.
it is absolutely insane. Jay Alexander, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother. God bless you. Really, really appreciate it.
No, thank you. God bless
Last
you.
minute goes to you, brother. Where can people find and get in contact with to book Jay Alexander as
So
well?
immediate email for booking would be work with the jr@gmail.com, just as it sounds, work with the jr@gmail.com. I always refer to anyone and everyone. I'm going to actually get business cards out with the QR code that you can scan. It's going to link you. But there's a marketing app called Link App, LINQAPP. It's linkapp.com and then / J Alexander PW, one word, just as it sounds. That right there actually will plug you to all my socials, my Cash App, my Venmo, my merchandise website, my all the stuff that I've been featured in, the 2020 AFC Championship commercial I did for the Buffalo Bills and the KFC
Awesome.
Chiefs, the Scratches take on Booker T Part 1. I'm actually going to plug in all of my podcasts because I'm starting to do a lot more. I can link all of those on there, which I will do coming soon. But literally all my matches, you click on the photo of said match, the hyperlinks there, takes you right to the YouTube video or the site that it's on, Title Match Network, if you have that subscription, what have you. And you can view all of those matches right there on that page. Facebook is official J Alexander. I can't remember if it's PW or just J Alexander. I'm pretty sure it's just official J Alexander. Just as it sounds. Twitter, J Alexander PW, which I'm not really big on Twitter, but you're more than welcome to find me there. Instagram is my main platform, I would say. That's Instagram. Same thing, J Alexander PW. Um, Yeah, but I would always highly recommend linkapp.com/JAlexanderPW. Everything is there. If you could bookmark that page, if you have the app, follow it. That's literally my hub 101. Everything's updated there. My bio, everything I've done, accomplished, my championships, matches, merch, social medias, everything's right there. How to book me, you click my photo, there's my email to book me. I mean, that's the center of the hub. And then social medias, I'm on pretty regularly because I understand that this is a business and I do market myself accordingly. So
absolutely, man, you've got to make enough noise. Yeah, those who don't make the noise get forgotten about. And that's brilliant. And all those links as well that Jay has said when this goes onto YouTube. Jay, if you won't mind, brother, just forwarding those links onto me as well on the DM, and I'll get those uploaded onto the Twitter as well. And just before we wrap up, my sleeper, okay, on the Survivor Series.
Oh, here we go.
I was going to go Pac on that one, man.
You know what? I had a buddy.
I had to get somebody from the UK in there, brother. Do you know what I mean?
Love it.
And I didn't want to go Will Ospreay. That would be too obvious. So.
I get told so many times when I have, because I wear my hair down. It's wet.
I wasn't going to say anything, man. I thought you could take this one or two ways. So.
I had a buddy. Zach Mason, one half of Fly Deaf at our last event. And I'll say this when we be done. Zach Mason was like, "Dude, your hair's getting so long." I was like, "Well, they already say I look like Pac's brother. Might as or they say that I look like Pac. Might as well grow my hair like him." So.
Yeah,
I
that's
all the time,
awesome.
so.
Yeah, but he's a phenomenal wrestler. Anyway, let's be brutally honest. When he was Neville, even before Neville as well, man. He's just an absolutely phenomenal athlete as well. Jay Alexander, it's been an absolute blessing, brother. And thank you so much for your time. Listen, I hope you and I can catch up in about 6 months or so time, just to see what's changed, what's evolved in the career of Jay Alexander as well. And also what Booker tells you to keep working on as well.
Yes.
See if you managed to work on
always something for sure.
Maybe demo me a spinaroonie. I don't know, man. We'll just see where it goes. Do you know what I mean?
I'll have a spinaroonie tape for you. I can do one of those.
Awesome, brother. It's been an absolute blessing, my man. God bless Jay Alexander, and take care, brother. Thank you.
You as well, sir. Thank you.